Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first Season 13 late night talk show. Myself and Odem is here tonight to discuss Friday's races, all the gossip, and catch up on all the incidents from round one in Brazil. Odems, welcome to the late night talk show.
Hello, good to be here. Always enjoyed watching you and Jono do these, so it's nice to be commentating alongside you.
Yeah, obviously, Season
Commenting rather.
13 kicked off with a bang on Friday night, round one in Brazil. One of the questions you asked to the drivers was about the opener being at Brazil, which is obviously notoriously at the end of the season, but it definitely put on a good show across all of the tiers.
Yeah, there was a lot of overtaking, just a lot of general position swapping, a lot of battles, some clean, some dirty. It was a good race. Good races all around.
Yeah, it definitely was, and obviously some good uses of the two-stop strategy. Others perhaps forgot, but we'll get into that. One thing I do want to discuss with you, Odems, is qualifying was so close across all the tiers, like ridiculously close.
Yeah, it was. Brazil is a very, it's that sort of track is Brazil. So it's a very short track, so the margin for error is absolutely tiny. So naturally, across the board, everyone was just so close together.
Yeah, and obviously, if you do need to submit anything to the steward's office, it is open until midnight tonight. So just make sure you use the template provided. Also, you can submit your overtake of the week. There's a few nominations in there already, and myself and Odins will discuss those perhaps if we get time tonight. But yeah, we got 4 tiers to discuss tonight rather than 3. So lots to cram in, but we'll start with the podium tier. This is obviously our 6:30 tier. Lots of new drivers in this one, Odems, and a few returning drivers, but it was a Toro Rosso front row lockout.
Yeah, it was. I remember, because I'm a Red Bull driver, I remember seeing the two Toro Rossos lock out the front row and start thinking to who the other Toro Rossos in the other tiers were, because I was getting a bit worried because those two seemed very quick. It didn't go quite to plan in the race, but at the start, those two Toro Rossos were looking a bit menacing.
Yeah, and Gaza started in third, and look at that. The podium tier perhaps last season was the most spread out qualifying of all our tiers, but 8 temps covering the top 11. And yeah, pretty impressive performance from Rex there as well. Fortunately, he wasn't able to replicate it in the race. But Ols and Jamie had it coming together in qualifying. Teammates last season parted ways to different teams this time around, but Ols seemingly his car on the racing line. Jamie couldn't slow down, went straight into the back of him, and it's in the steward's office.
Yeah, it is. It's a bit juicy, isn't it? It's a bit scandalous. The two former teammates, good friends, all did apologize. Jamie obviously accepted the apology, but still felt that it was worth a steward's inquiry. So, yeah, not a good start for Jamie. But as we know that wasn't uh, what's the word I'm looking for? That wasn't what his race turned out to be like.
No, it definitely wasn't. We'll come to that dramatic closing moments in a second. But yeah, good qualifying all round from those boys. And then we had intermediate weather in the race all the way through. One Toro Rosso, who stood on the front row from pole, Ian, seemed to not struggle at all with it, whereas his teammate Parker gradually fell down the order and then didn't finish the race at all.
Yeah, Parker had a bit of a moment at the start there while his teammate got away scot-free. Tej and I believe it was Jack Jarvis, who is formerly Cobblers, also had it coming together. So it was quite a nice, tasty pile-up at the start of the race. Uh, yeah, a bit hectic.
Yeah, Jamie obviously starting down in 17th or no 18th place, so had to battle his way forward. Aaron got a drive jump start, so had to serve a drive through, and I believe there were 4 drivers across all of the tiers that got a jump start on Friday. It's not something we saw too often last season across the whole 21 race calendar. What do you put that down to?
I reckon it was, those first race nerves. I imagine a lot of people were just so excited to get going. I know for a fact that during the lights, I was very close to letting go of my X button off the grid because you really just want to get going as quick as possible. So I would put it down to a bit of nerves, a bit of lack of experience, but I think that should be out of the way after this race into the next.
Yeah, it seemed pretty clean. Drivers using the runoff area at the start until there was that incident between it was Spider Atlas, Tejuar, Herster was involved, and you can see bits of carbon fiber as drivers just trying to avoid the carnage. And Tejuar and Spider both with a race to recover. Do you think the two stop helped them recover their race at all?
Well, Spider didn't recover at all. Don't believe he finished, but I think Tej he had two incidents, so that definitely didn't help his case. I think he did that two stop definitely would help him recover. Not maybe as much in the wet, but yeah, his race was compromised very badly very early on, and he did well to score points to his credit in ninth place.
All's another driver who had to stop early and was able to recover to, I believe it was sixth position in the end. So would he have been able to do that if everyone was one stopping? It would have been a lot more difficult, that's for sure. But only 10 finishers in the podium tier on Friday. And let's just talk us through. I don't know if you got the stream open, but 1 hour, 12 minutes. And 14 seconds, 15 seconds. We're riding on board with Colin. He's done a fantastic race, great debut to get onto the podium, but rookie error and just ran out of fuel. And we're switching over to Jamie because the whole community knows that Jamie's done 60 races, hasn't got a podium, and that's everyone's first reaction. Rather than, oh no, Colin's run out of fuel, he's going to lose the podium position. It's Jamie's going to get a podium. And for anyone who hasn't watched the clip of his video when he crosses the line or when he sees that McLaren going slowly, you need to go and see it because it's absolutely amazing the way he reacts to it. And it just shows Odems that, this isn't just a game where, you pick it up, have a bit of fun. It meant so much to him.
Yeah, I think F1 games. There's a reason why we complain about F1 games. Yeah, everyone just keeps coming back and back and back. League racing is just a different experience to a lot of other multiplayer games. Like you put in so much practice, you put in so much grind, you spend so much effort just to get better. It's not your normal just pick up and play multiplayer game, and that's why despite complaining, so many people come back to it, and that's why when you do eventually succeed, it's so gratifying and satisfying as we saw with Jamie. I wanted to say that I feel bad for Colin. I do actually feel bad for Colin. It's hard because Colin on his debut to get third is really impressive. Like that's what if to get up there would be really impressive. But as he slowed down, I think everyone's thoughts just went from oh my god Jamie instead of oh no Colin, which is unfortunate for him. But yeah, he drove a good race, and if that's anything to go by, I think he'll be fine in this league.
And obviously, it's just so fitting that it was around Brazil, and that whole Glock moment, and it's turned into is that Colin. And imagine when Jamie from 17th on the grid, he must have been thinking, God, here we go, another season. And most of the race he was in fourth place. Yeah, so he's thinking, oh, I'm going to get ripped again by all of us as we do on stream in our chats. And even Colin said after when he heard his reaction, he would have just slowed down if he knew Jamie would have been that happy. But 17th on the grid to third, you have to say although there's 2 driver of the day votes on Twitter, there's only going to be one winner.
Yeah, he was doing really well. Me, a few others in the live stream were just commenting on how you were like, oh, Jamie's getting right up that field. He's in up to 12th already, up to 9th already. He was just trotting along, doing a very good job, and yeah, just all of a sudden, he's got his well-deserved podium.
He definitely does. Aaron finished in 4th, so his debut, good result for him. Ols recovered to 5th position. Remember, he did have that grid penalty as well. Colin eventually finished in 6th, D-Boy Dan 7th, Thunder Phoenix in 8th, Tejuar in 9th, Hersto rounded out the top 10. Alrighty, on to the precision tier, and Odin's qualifying. The whole tier, I believe, was. Let me scroll down the list here. The whole tier was separated by 8-9 tenths of a second. All 18 drivers. Surely that shows that the qualifying 9 tenths. It is top 17 by 6.5 tenths. So it shows that qualifying night really does work at One Hub Racing.
Yeah, it does. Maybe you would think at the start of the season people would be saying, why is he in here or why is he in there? But as we see with the position tier, that's a very close grid, and the racing followed suit. The racing was also very close. So I think we're sort on that tier in terms of closeness, unless someone pulls a reflow and just runs off with it. But I don't think that will be happening. Hopefully not.
So much, and we've seen it in the other tiers as well. The drivers must be under so much pressure in qualifying, knowing that one little lockup or not hitting your apex properly can result in you falling down not a position or two, sometimes even possibly, from going from top 3 to outside the top 10.
Yeah, you have to be on your game. Any small tiny mistake, it's just game over. Lukey, I believe, was challenging for the win. He gets that tangled up with other drivers, and all of a sudden he's nowhere. So you do have to really pick your battles, pick your moments, and it's part of the fun, though, I think.
Jory obviously getting pole position, leading the way. It's perhaps a driver that came under the radar in terms of before the season started, when you were looking at your list. If you had to pick the contenders for the championship, I myself wouldn't have put his name in there, but he got pole position. He controlled the race. And took the win. Just watching the start here again, lots of drivers using that runoff going wide at turn 4. Brazil, not obviously the widest track, but it's interesting to see how some of the drivers, like the Renaults, when they were teammates, getting so close together. But relatively, this tier was pretty clean. I know there was the issue with Scorpion being desynced from the lobby, but I know during the race you had that battle, and it was just, I remember Kieran saying on stream, you couldn't pick who was going to finish on the podium.
Yeah, I remember. As I got home, I was watching this race, and I was practicing. Uh, I was practicing, and I was also watching the stream at the same time. And every time I looked, every other 2 minutes, I would just, have no clue what was going on. I mean, like, how's he ended up there, or how's that person there? And yeah, it was pretty hectic. I had no clue who was actually going to finish where they were actually looking like they were going to finish. So
I think
definitely
the
a
two
hectic
stop
race.
contributed to that, didn't it? Some people were just pitting early and extending other stints. It was really changed the dynamic. It wasn't just a simple case of everyone kind of still pits on the same lap twice. It completely changed when drivers decided to come in.
Yeah, it did. Sorry, what was your question? I wasn't listening. Ask me again.
The two stopped changing the dynamic of the race.
Yeah.
It wasn't a case of everyone stopping on the same lap both times.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, when you look at the little side graphic that shows the laps that each driver has set on their tires, it was just different everywhere. 10 laps, 4 laps, 7 laps, 11 laps, 12 laps. It was just a different number every time, and it was extremely chaotic. But fortunately, we have very good commentators who always had their finger on the pulse of the race. And yeah, the two stop rule is a very good addition for season 13.
It definitely is, and as the race went on, there was that midfield battle. Both Nicks were involved, like Fountain, Scorpion, Lukey, Victor. There was Cloudy Balloons, who's obviously changed his name. They were all involved in that, and it was kind of like a 7-train car, and no one could really get past. And Lukey was the man at the front, and we all know how good he is at defending.
Yeah, I think Sam especially knows Lukey's ability to defend. Yeah, big train, especially in Brazil. It's such a short track that it's hard to pull away from anybody. So yeah, big big train. Lukey had that foot wing damage as well, which definitely didn't help.
Yeah, managed it well though. Through that stint. Lawrence up there again, good qualifying, crashes out. He's already moved down from the Pinnacle tier to this tier. What does he need to do to, string some good results together? Because he's definitely got the pace to challenge at the top of this tier, but unless he's able to, sort his racing out from the first lap to the last, he's just not going to be able to score those points.
Yeah, for sure. He's very crash prone, which I didn't know that. Like when he used to be in the Pinnacle tier, which was the top tier at the time, and I never had that inkling that he was ever crash prone. But this game, he seems to never be able to just keep it on the track. I think maybe it's down to maybe a lack of practice. He's just not in tune with the car as he'd like to be. I don't know what exactly it is, but I think maybe one good result, and I think that'll get him a bit motivated, and maybe he'll do better for the next few races.
So Jorrit took the win ahead of Westy and Chris. So Chris back on the podium after a couple seasons out. How do you rate his performance?
His performance?
Yeah.
Whose?
Chris's back on the
Chris's,
podium in
yeah.
third. Yeah.
Chris, yeah, he did very well. I was keeping an eye on him. Happy to see him. Happy to see him up there. Obviously, my former rival, I would say, had our differences, but no, I was very happy to have him back. I was cheering him on, and I think he picked up the game only a few months ago as well. So, GG to him.
Nika won the Battle of the Nicks. 3 Nicks, obviously, in the Precision tier, so he finished fourth ahead of Nick L.J. Thompson. White Fountain finished in 6th position, Scorpion in 7th, so Red Bull in line astern there. Lukey in 8th position. Again, he was challenging leading at one point, so he'll be disappointed with that result. Victor, I thought, had a good race. He joined late in the podium season last season, but generally I thought he had a good race all round, Odems.
Yeah, he did. Drove solidly, and yeah, he drove well. I think he'd be happy with his performance.
Is TK finished to round out the top 10. Matt Your Daddy, the other Brazilian racing in Brazil for round 1. Again, he was having good battles, kept out of trouble in the opening laps, but later on in the race got caught up and eventually retired. But do you think he's going to have a season like last, where he's just constantly involved in these incidents, or do you think Friday would have shown him that he can definitely have some good clean battles in this precision tier?
I think I don't know because if it's so close like it was in Brazil, he's a very unlucky person by nature. I feel is Matt, so I can't say whether or not he'd be able to stay out of trouble, but I hope he stays out of trouble. He definitely showed that's for sure. We saw that in the Pinnacle tier last year, and fair play to him for coming back after all his troubles and trials. But yeah, I think he's due a good result. Let's just say.
He definitely is, and he's obviously scored a podium in Brazil before, but move on to USA next week, and good luck to all the precision drivers for that one. Hopefully they put on another great show. On to the Pinnacle tier, Odems. So Jesse took pole position, early title favourite, but will his place in the Pinnacle tier stay there?
Oh, I don't know. He was saying about how he's the worst pad driver ever is the words he used because he had to switch from wheel to pad after his wheel broke. He was telling us how he was the worst pad driver ever. Meanwhile, he was setting 6.7s in qualifying, which would have put him like I want to say fourth in prestige. So yeah, I think Jesse. I think he definitely underestimated himself.
Yeah, he definitely did. But another close qualifying in the Pinnacle tier. Obviously, I was involved, and it was just incredibly close. 9 tenths separating the whole 15 drivers who completed a lap time, and 1.5 tenths. So that was the margin that Jesse had to on pole position. So you've literally got pretty much every driver other than him in the 107s, which is just crazy.
Yeah, obviously, as we said, Brazil short track, Pinnacle, close tier. Using that formula, we get nice and tight racing like this.
And as the race went on, then started in intermediate conditions, I can tell you for a fact it was extremely tricky. Either that, or I'm just rubbish at driving in these conditions. Probably a bit of both.
The latter.
Yeah. But Jesse kind of led away from lights. And I remember in the race just seeing his name just constantly flash up with fastest lap. And you can just see off the start, he just streaks away like it's just dry conditions and everyone else is in the Inters. But Brazil, these are the tracks on the calendar items. We specifically picked them for the fact there could be rain and these changing conditions, and it's exactly what we saw, not only in the podium tier but also in this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, I wasn't, involved in this picking tracks because hopefully there'll be rain because I hate rain. But yeah, the rain definitely does spice up the racing, adds a different dynamic. And yeah, Jesse definitely took advantage of that one. Won by over 10 seconds.
Two drivers off the start, Bernardino and CSS, getting a drive-through penalty. I think it was one of them triggered the other one, I think, in a sense that, let's watch it now, rewatch it. I think Brumadinho jumped the start, and CSS, just because he saw Brumadinho go, went
Yeah.
as well. So two drivers having to serve a drive-through within the first 3 laps of the race. What do you make of drive-throughs in these games, Odems? Do you think they should be there, or do you think time penalties should be put in instead? But it can really, obviously I had one later in the race, and it can really cost you a lot of time.
I think for jumping the start, I think you should get a drive through. I don't really because it's too exploitable if you just get a penalty, especially somewhere like Canada or something. But I think for speeding on the safety car, which despite it being something that only an absolute moron would do, I think should only be worth about, I don't know, 10 seconds. Not a drive-through penalty, in my opinion.
More on you. Anyway, you said I would qualify in 50th, did you? And I qualified in 7th, so shows how much you know.
Yeah. Proud of you. Where'd you finish though?
Yeah, well, I got that drive-through that, as you said, shouldn't have been a drive-through, should be a 10-second penalty, so there you go. Good, clean racing. The battle for the podium really hotted up. UWAT, formerly known as CXY, was on for a good result behind Jesse, but his race went wrong, and he ended up just battling down the back of the grid. But Malloy was able to finish in second position. Scott Fiedler was able to finish in second position. Malloy was battling for that podium position, and that kind of battle, Odens, from second all the way down to 8th position, was throughout the race, and the changing conditions on the two-stop, quite interesting how drivers some chose to do a stop under the intermediate conditions, others chose to do both their stops when it turned dry.
Yeah, I think that definitely had added an element of mind games to it. No one knew when exactly to stop, what tire to go on. It was definitely like a chess game. Uh, some people made the right decision, some people didn't. Malloy, my Red Bull teammate, definitely didn't make the right decision because he as he said, he forgot about the two-stop mandatory rule and he pit on mediums to go to the end until he remembered that, oh, I have to pit again. This is pointless. So he didn't get it quite right. I think he'll definitely bounce back though. He showed good pace, but yeah, it was very intriguing to watch.
If Jesse wasn't here, Odems, who would you say are the front runners? Obviously, we didn't have Spaghetti Chips or Lawmans in the race, as well as Raikkonen, and there was another driver as well missing. But based on the drivers that did race on Friday, it's kind of hard to pick who there's no clear favourites, is there?
Yeah, definitely not. I'm looking at Darkbolt in sixth place. He posted a video on Twitter of him setting a lap, and you could see on his delta he was about to set a 106.8, which is a very quick lap. But unfortunately, he balled on the last corner, so he ended up finishing sixth. So I think it's really early to call. But if I had to say someone, I guess I would say Malloy. No,
Alrighty.
I wouldn't. I would say Scopefielder.
Alright, Scottfielder finished in second position.
Yeah.
Nick in third. Bremedino recovered from that drive through early on to finish in fourth, so it just shows how much good race pace he had after perhaps a bit of disappointing qualifying. Nick was very quick in those conditions. From 13th on the grid, he finished on the podium. As you said, Malloy finished in 5th. Dark Bolt recovered to 6th. James Slater 7th. My teammate Spaniard in 8th. You Midnight 9th. And Glock rounded out the top 10 for the point scorers. Alrighty, Odems. On to the Prestige tier and, of course, our top tier at One Hub Racing. And although we had a bit of a delayed start, Jack was having a nap, but let's have a quick look at the qualifying results, because again, another session, and you were involved in this. How much pressure does that put you under when you're seeing all these times, and you can think 2/10, and I could go from, as you were, 8th on the grid, all the way up to 4th?
Yeah, it's absolutely insane because I was about 2 or 3 tenths off pole position, and in some other tracks you'd expect that to get you like what, third or fourth or fifth maybe, but I was in eighth, a comfortable eighth. So yeah, the top three especially were just stupidly close. I think the top three were separated by under a tenth. So yeah, definitely a lot of pressure to just you have to really pretty much nail your lap. Some people did, some people didn't. After I was practicing with Blizzard, he was setting 6.3s, so I wasn't really, happy with my prospects of qualifying well. But just have to do the best you can, and it is a lot of pressure.
So 9 temps covered the top 17 drivers, Odem. So it's just ridiculously close. Blizzard, obviously, pole position. Many people expect him to, walk the championship this season, but Rafa, under half a tenth behind, kept him honest. Perhaps not for that mistake in the race. Do you think he would have been able to not finish as far away at the end of the race as he did?
Yeah, for sure. He was definitely up there, Rafa. I think Rafa in the recent days has been very, very quick. Uh, he got a wheel though recently, so that might curtail his pace a bit. But recently he has been absolutely rapid, and I think he'll give Blizzard something to think about at least.
Yeah, obviously Blizzard got away off the line and never kind of looked back. Obviously you were teammates with Blizzard. Was he concerned at any point during the race? We know how calm he is anyway, whilst driving. But was there any question in terms of strategy or who was doing what behind him that he was concerned about?
No, he was just making sure that I told him when he should pit because he was fairly comfortably out in the lead, so he was I got first priority in terms of pit stops. So just wanted to know when he wants me to pit or when I want him to pit. But other than that, no, it was all pretty calm. Not for me though, for him.
As the race went on, again, drivers running wide at turn 4 on the opening lap. So many cars, and it's so narrow. It's so hard. It was so hard for Jess, especially being on her own, just to try and keep an eye on all these position changes and wheel-to-wheel action that she was going. Both Ferraris made lightning starts. Sam, however, as he tried to go around the outside of Onyx, I believe it was. Himself and Jacobcheks were having a battle, and it actually cost Sam. He would have been up to third had he been able to pull that move off.
Jake, do you mean Jay Cheats?
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, Sam, I was watching his video. It was not a good start at all. Well, I guess his start was fine, but he
Up
was in a
until that
battle with
corner, wasn't it?
Onyx. Yeah, yeah. Onyx and Jay were sort of having their own massive fight, and Sam ended up being a victim to it. Ended up right on the grass, and after that, he just, as he said, he's new to using no traction, so it took him a while to get a bit used to it. But yeah, I think he'll bounce back for sure.
Danestar got a lightning start up to 8th position, I believe, from 14th on the grid. Could be wrong on that one. But as you cross the line the first lap, every driver is still within DRS except Blizzard, who was outside that point. But Dane Star, I watched him throughout the race, and he kept, I don't know if I can find a clip of it, but he kept trying to defend on the outside of turn 4, and it just never worked out for him. Every time he just got pushed wide, but he just didn't seem to change his approach into that corner.
Yeah, Dane Star's driving was definitely, a lot of people complained about his driving, if I'm honest. I think maybe just the occasion of being in the prestige tier, he was eager to excite, and he made a few rash decisions. But yeah, I think he's had a lesson. I think in that race, I think he learned a lot, and there's knowledge to be gained in failure. So I think he'll be trying to use his failure to propel himself in the next few races.
Yeah, obviously a difficult mindset going up from, the bottom tier all the way to the top tier. So it's 3 jumps in a sense for this season. So a big task, but his start was definitely up to scratch. And I think we've seen so much from Dane Star from when he did join the league. All he's done is improve since the day he stepped foot into the league.
Yeah, season 11, he was in that Renault, two stopping at the worst times. But now we see him. He's a one hub esports driver. He's in the top tier. Definitely has been a road, a long journey for Dane Star.
Alrighty, 25 minutes and 30 seconds. We can see Rafa, who was in second. He started in second, but he had to battle back up to second in the opening couple of laps. Blizzard had dropped him a bit by then, and then he had this moment across the grass. What do you think would have been going through his head as he rejoined and was dropped all the way down? Actually, in fact, just watching you pass him now into 4th position,
Yeah.
up the hill. What do you think was going through his head at that point?
He was probably saying something along the lines of "Scheiße, Scheiße, 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 Scheiße" as he was spinning. But he recovered well for sure, and
Do you think
had a
he
nice
would have
little
been
battle
more
with him.
concerned that a driver like VSR Marquez was in front of him rather than anyone else on the grid?
I think he would have been absolutely terrified. No, I'm joking. Me and him actually had a very nice battle. I was about to upload the clip. Me and him both had a very, very nice and fair battle. So I don't know what you'd be
And there were no dive bombs
speculating.
at every opportunity from you, no?
No, he was too quick for me to do that. He was a
Oh,
lot quicker
okay.
than I was, so I didn't really have a chance. And even if I did dive bomb, I was just wasting my time and his time, really.
Yeah, I did speak to him. He did mention to me that he was just constantly looking in his mirrors when you were behind him, worrying about you sending it and enough place where you shouldn't be sending it. But I guess most
Wow.
drivers experience that when they race with you.
Wow. Actually, no, because the only league I'm actually quite clean in is one hub. Very clean in one hub.
Um,
So if I'm in one hub, you don't be scared. Everywhere else, then yeah, I guess.
one thing I want to ask, I saw a lot of drivers in the prestige tier. As the second sector ends, when you run up the hill,
Yeah,
they were like
go
driving
on the
on the
grass.
grass as they were braking.
Yeah. Yeah. For some reason that grass isn't grass. I think it's AstroTurf, but it pretends to be grass. So you can actually brake on it. So a lot of people will notice that in the lower tiers that 50-meter marker board is still there, but that thing is gone by the first couple minutes of qualifying and the first lap of the race in the prestige tier. Because the prestige tier, I think you find is just they're a different bunch because if you're in the prestige tier, you're usually at the top of your game and you've found all the exploits that you possibly can find in the game. As we saw in quality night where everyone turned around into the pits.
Yeah, they're kind of serial killers in a sense in the way they approach how to just be as quick as
Methodical.
possible.
Yeah.
All right, so the race result ended with
I
Blizzard
wouldn't say
taking.
serial killer.
Well, sometimes Odin, some of your races. Um, so Blizzard took the win. Rafa took second. Onyx in his debut, Odems, 3rd position, good result for him. He said he wasn't able to practice as well that much, so obviously impressive.
Yeah, he probably lied. Now Onyx is someone I've seen in different leagues. He's been improving his pace for sure. He's definitely getting a lot quicker and quicker and quicker as he goes on. So yeah, I'm not surprised to see him up there in the podium positions.
Poe in 4th on his first race. Mitch all the way from 17th on the grid to 5th position. Do you know what happened with his qualifying? Because I presume his pace wasn't 17th place worth.
What happened in qualifying was that he's not that good at the game, so he just sort of messed it all up. But he got himself sorted out during the race, and yeah, no penalty, so managed to get 5th.
Jay in 6th, yourself in 7th, poor result for you. Josh in 8th position, Plexit in 9th, and Leon in 10th, rounding out the top 10. So Leon's first race as well in the league. Just as we go through down the order, you have to say, Odens, that if we had to pick a tier that perhaps was the most ruthless in terms of driving and incidents, it would be this prestige tier on this occasion for round 1.
I would heavily disagree.
Well, you're just blind then.
I'm not though, am I?
What tier was worse, had more incidents and worse driving?
Precision.
Okay, it did not. You need to go watch it. Is that the tier you said you hadn't watched?
No, I didn't watch it. Pinnacle is the one I didn't watch because I just didn't really want to see you in any shape or form.
Okay, yeah, that's understandable. It brings back memories of when I used to spank you when we raced together. Sam Starr didn't finish. He had that incident where he crashed. He crashed coming out the pits, but then crashed on track. Don loaded a 2-2 wing setup, so his race was kind of over before it started. Jack, I saw the incident where he crashed out. In my opinion, he touched another car, got some damage, and then decided to crash out on purpose. So perhaps we can expect a penalty for him for next week.
Yeah, probably. He deserves it.
Dane Starr was down in 16th place. But overall, competitive tier, Odems, another good race. Driving, looking at your perspective, the 2-stop again changed the dynamic of the race?
For sure. A lot of people, in the pre-race interviews, a few people were saying, oh, I don't think the 2-stop will change too much things because everyone's just going to be on the same strategy anyways. But that wasn't the case at all throughout the tiers, was it? Like, a lot of people did super softs, a lot of people pit at a different time, some people did mediums. I think every track, I think there's going to be there's going to be someone doing something different and maybe catching the rest of the field off guard.
Yeah, just seeing Scorpion in the chat saying that the 2-stop was great in his opinion. Whilst driving, he never knew if the guy ahead would pit again, as it usually went soft medium with the 1-stop. I was the same when I was driving, and I wasn't sure the drivers ahead, behind me, because we can't really see, like the commentators can, how many stops everyone's done, what tyres how many laps are on. And it was really difficult to try and work out, am I net ahead of him or behind him? Did you find the same?
Yeah, for sure. And I also found that people who I didn't even see all of a sudden end up ahead of me. For example, Poe. I wasn't in a battle with him. All of a sudden, I pit and he's just there, which was not ideal. Yeah, definitely. There's a lot more to think about during the races.
We didn't mention in any of the tiers, overcut seemed to be more powerful than the undercut on Fridays. Do you think that's Brazil specific, or do you think that's something we'll see develop throughout the season?
I think that's probably Brazil specific. I think also because it's Brazil, people who pit end up coming into a bit of traffic, and I also find that when you pit, that's sort of when you want to save ERS, so you sort of just dial your ERS back down again when you exit the pits as well, so your in lap isn't as quick. I think that might have happened to a few drivers as well, and the overcut would have definitely helped a few people.
Alrighty. Well, does anyone have any questions for Odems or myself, other than some predictions, Odems, which we'll do right at the end? As I mentioned, Steward Office is open still on the website. If you haven't, make sure you head over to the website, complete your post-race interviews. You can also vote for your driver of the day in all of your tiers on Twitter at OneHubRacing. Make sure you subscribe to us. You can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. at One Hub Racing. And of course, Odens, we are sponsored by Next Level Racing, so head over to our Twitter account to find out more information how you can get a discount on their products using the code OneHub10. Odems, predictions for next week, starting with the Podium Tier. Who would you say is going to take the win?
I'm gonna go for a wet race. Gazaman win. Yanyan second, and we'll say Ivan. Ivan's podium tier, right?
Yes.
Yes, I'll say him third. And yourself?
Tough one. I think that Aaron's going to have a good race, so I can see him being on the podium, and I think Parker will strike back. So I think Parker will take the win. Let's go for Alls in second, and Aaron in third position in the Mercedes. So yeah, no bias, but hopefully he can score a good result for.
I think Jamie will be a bit, in a bit of a hangover from last week. It's really put up much of a fight for another podium.
Wouldn't it be funny if he just couldn't stop getting podiums now?
That'd be great.
just every race he just gets the podium. What do you think what do you think he can do in the podium tier from now? Obviously he's got that podium, that pressure's gone. Do you think that'll help him to perform now?
I think so, yeah. I think he'll now that he has that out the window, I think he'll be a lot calmer, a lot more a lot less jittery about, I need to get a podium, I need to get a podium. I think that'll definitely help. It was like me trying to win a race last season. I was just so obsessed with trying to win a race. But I won my race in the last race of the season, so I didn't have time to feel the nice effects of it. So I think Jamie he'll definitely be happy that he's done it sooner rather than later.
I bet your reaction when you won though was not as great as Jamie's when he got that podium on Friday.
No, it wasn't as great, unfortunately. But I was definitely, I think I was just as happy, if I'm honest.
All right, looking at the podium tier, Thunder Phoenix scored points in his first race. Rex has shown such good pace in qualifying. He actually should have been in the precision tier in a sense, Odems, with his quali night time, but he just hasn't finished a race in this league since France in season 12, which was round 8 last time.
Yeah, it's been a while for poor old Rex since he last finished a race.
Colin, expect to see him up in the top 5. And then obviously there's a few drivers who weren't able to take part. Overall though, Odem, 71 drivers out of 80 on Friday. Good start to season 13. On to the precision tier, top 3 prediction.
I would say the USA. I would say Jorit, Scorpion, White Fountain.
I'm going to go for Westy to take the win. Nika in second, and Lukey in third position.
I'm going to assume Chris will DNF.
You reckon?
Yeah.
I'm going to say Lawrence is probably going to DNF, but that's only based on previous experience. Cloudy showed good pace actually on Friday. He was having some good battles, so it's good to see him come back. Obviously, after being removed and banned last season, he's come back with a new attitude. He did that post on the forum, thanking us in a sense for giving him that ban to reevaluate his driving and things like that. Do you expect to see him be able to score a podium or a few podiums this season?
I think so. Yeah, he was showing pace, and he was also clean. I saw as well. He was having a little battle with Matt Your Daddy, and they both kept it nice and clean. So for sure, I think this will be a revelation of a season for Cloudy.
Both McLarens, TK and Jor, had a horrible race, horrible opening lap as well on Friday, but they do have good pace, so I expect to see them move further up the order as the season goes on. So round 2 USA, Pinnacle Tier, you're going to go for me for the win, Odems, or?
I'm gonna go for Nick to finish a solid, comfortable, impressive 13th. I'm gonna put who's for the win? Jesse. Well, if he's still there. If he's not, then I guess CXY, Schofielder, and third would be Mali.
I'm gonna go in the sense that if obviously if Jesse's there he'll win, but if he wasn't there, I'm going to go for I think this tier is so close. I think Spaghetti Chips will be on the podium. I think Dark Bolt will be on the podium as well. And yeah, maybe CXY. I reckon those three. I don't know in what order though. Kian will be back as well next week, so it'll be interesting to see how he gets on. Raikkonen, obviously he missed the first race. We know he's quick, so it'll be his first race. Brumadino as well. He'll be looking to get a better qualifying, and it's so hard to pick the podium drivers, Odems.
Yeah, it is. That tier is definitely packed full of people who can have an upset.
All right, prestige tier. Who do we reckon for the top 3 in USA?
I think it'll be first Francis, second Blizzard, and third Rafa.
I'm gonna go for Rafa in first, Francis in second, and I'm going to go for I don't know. I'm going to go for Mitch in third. I reckon Blizzard is probably due a bad race. He hasn't had one. He finished the season strong. Well, actually, no, he had the bad one in Abu Dhabi, but I don't know. I just have a feeling.
Have a feeling, or you wish?
No, not at all. I like Blizzard. I think he's a great driver. I just think that he'll have a. I know Rafa is very quick around USA. I know Francis obviously is very quick. So he'll be focused on converting that 1 lap pace that he did. I remember the last season Odems that lap he did to get pole in qualifying was just ridiculous. So he just needs to transform that into race pace and obviously keep the penalties away. I reckon you're going to crash out, if I'm honest.
Honestly, you're probably right.
Not that I've paid Sam or anything like that, but
Okay, good. Thanks for clearing it up.
That's right. All right. Whitehound's got a question. Odems, are you going to win a race this season? I will answer that for him. He isn't. There's no Abu Dhabi in the calendar, so this will be his first season where he doesn't win a race, and he can quit going on about that stupid stat. Spag and Chips obviously in the chat. Who do I think is going to win our title in the Pinnacle Tier? I said Darkbot at the beginning of the season on tier announcement night, so I'll continue to stick with him. Otherwise that's it, Odems, for the first late night talk show. Good to have you here. Obviously you'll never be able to replace Jono, but you were adequate, I suppose.
It feels like when I replaced him with Mercedes, it just wasn't the same, was it?
No, he'll be back next season, so it'll just literally be like so season 6, me and Jono, and use you for a season and then throw you off into the distance.
Damn.
But you're used to that, aren't you? Yeah. All right, we'll leave it there. Nothing else you want to share with us, Odems, before we go? I know you're obviously full of wonderful words.
I just want to thank Jess for doing the Prestige Tier stream alone. Obviously, Jack showing some awful manners and standing her up.
What a poor gentleman, eh?
I know, right? Chivalry is dead. Fair play to her for soldiering on and keeping the stream going.
Yeah, definitely. It was a handful for 2 commentators, let alone 1 in that race. But yeah, well done to Jess. Thank you to all our commentators. Obviously, thank you to everyone watching on Friday and tonight. If you're racing next Friday, we wish you the best of luck. Just to give you a bit of a run through. Tuesday there'll be the overtake of the week results, stewards results, and then Thursday, obviously we're going to have our media days again, where you will see the same stuff that happened last week, obviously reflecting USA. And Odems, you're going to have your hot and cold list up by then for the history and track
Yeah,
guide?
I think I might do it separately. Who knows?
Who knows? Find out on Thursday. Alright everyone, thank you very much for watching. This has been the Late Night Talk Show at One Hub Racing for Season 13, and we'll be back next Sunday at 9 PM UK time to discuss Round 2 USA.